That's what I want to say to us. If we think we're going to sit here and suck in the faith, we're wrong. Your faith will grow when you give it to someone else. When you do what Paul did, when you have the conviction that Jesus really is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one will get to the Father apart from him. And then you have the courage to do something about it. Not only does the world win to Christ, but your faith mushrooms. So here are my challenges, 2 of them. First, I want to challenge everyone in this room, myself included. Don't let this week get by without you saying something for Jesus to someone outside your circles. A server at a restaurant, somebody you work with, whoever it is. Find a word about Jesus to give somebody. Will you do that? And here's second. For the last couple of years, North Boulevard as a congregation has been working on taking the good news of Jesus into China. You like the flags? Mac did all this. This is like the most beautiful stretch I've ever seen. John Maxson did every bit of this. You're going to be an interior decorator one of these days, John. China. You see Israel here? We've got Tanzania up here. Only thing, I don't know which flag is Tanzania. Probably this one. Nope, this one. How far am I? Is that Tanzania? This one. One of those is Tanzania. One of them's Mali. Mexico, Honduras, Scotland, U.S. We need to get to China. Here's why. China has 1.2 billion people. That's 1 out of 6 people in this world is Chinese. The Chinese people right now are receptive to the good news of Jesus. Now, you remember when the Soviet Union collapsed? Philip Slate will tell you that for about 15 years, the Russians were eager to hear the good news of Jesus, and then the door closed. They're just not interested anymore. Right now, we have a window to China. They're interested. You can preach to Chinese, and as Joseph's doing this himself, hundreds of people will respond. 1.2 billion people hungry for the good news of Jesus. There are 3 missionaries, locals, they're Chinese people who live in Hong Kong right now. They are going into China on a regular basis, planting churches. These 3 local Chinese men of God, missionaries, require between them all only $50,000 a year. They've had the funding from a church in Knoxville. That funding's dried up. These guys are going to have to stop their work if they can't get funding. We want to pick their work up and then learn from them by going over. In fact, we got a group, God willing, going over this summer. You're going to be invited to that soon. Learn what they're doing, and then we want to take a team into China, and we want to win China for Jesus Christ. That's what we want to do. Many of us have been praying. I started praying for China in 1997, Bill. When you first took me to Korea, I started praying for China. I realized it. The Chinese people do not have a natural animosity with the Muslims. Chinese can go to Islam and preach where we can't. They can go to Muslim nations. Chinese are hungry for the good news. We've got what they want. English, technology. They're begging us to come over. They are Macedonians saying, please come help us. Here's our problem. We have no money. When we really don't. North Boulevard can't afford to do it right now. In fact, I hate to say it, but we've made and are in the process of making some very painful cuts at North Boulevard. We are. You'll hear more about that. It's not happy news. No one's criticizing the giving. I think in the economic times, this is probably all we can do. So the question is, are we going to let our contributions stop us from responding to this Macedonian call? And the answer is, I pray not. Here's what we want to do. We can't budget it. But we'd like to have a special contribution for $50,000 or more if we can get it, the last Sunday of this month. This money will go towards planting churches in China where people follow Jesus, and whatever's left of the 50 will go to send more people over. Eventually, within 5 years, we want to be on the ground in China bringing hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of people to Jesus. So the question is, can we do it? I think we can. But I want to ask you to do this. I want to ask you to ask God this question. I'm serious now. I know, the sermon's gone too long. It's hard to listen after a while. Try to get this one in. Ask God this week, Lord, do you want me to help get the good news to China? Just ask that prayer. Just talk to God about it. Do you want me to help get the good news to China. And if the Macedonian comes back to you as no, you spent all you can spend this year, you can't commit to another work, then that's fine. Don't sweat it. Just wait till God gives you more resources. But if the Macedonian call comes back to you and the Lord puts it on your heart and says, yes, these people are eager to hear the good news. This is a communist nation. They're starving for Jesus, and you've got the money to do something about it. Then on February 27th, let's see what we can do. Let's see if the congregation can't say in the middle of economic hardships, we're not going to ignore a Macedonian call. We're just not going to. I'm telling you, when Paul, Silas, Timothy, and Luke got this vision to go into Europe, they changed the world. And God has called us to do the same. So maybe you don't need to come forward this morning, but I do want to ask you to ask God, do I really have the conviction that these guys had? And do I have the courage to do something about it? Let's stand up and sing. Talk to God if you need His